Hi, I'm Mary Ellen Slater, Senior Editor of Smart Brief on Workforce, and I'm here with Nancy Newell, an expert on interviewing. Nancy, tell us what are the biggest mistakes that you see HR professionals and hiring managers make in interviewing candidates?
Oh, goodness. I think that one of the things that we forget to do, which seems the most obvious, but is to focus on the most important aspects of the job. I think we end up asking questions of our candidates that may not be the most relevant to how they're actually going to perform on the job.
How can behavioral interviewing help with this process?
We know that behavioral interviewing dramatically improves the outcomes of our hiring process. The success on jobs can be predicted at 60% or higher when we're using behavioral interviewing. And it's really a very simple premise, is that we're looking at past behaviors as a predictor of future behaviors on the job. And certainly the more recent the behaviors and more frequent the behaviors, the more likely they are to be repeated again. So if we can take that premise of figuring out what people have done in the past, apply it to what they're going to do in the future. And it's really a very simple process. All we do is say, tell me about a time when. And it's as simple as that. And it really is much more predictive than the standard or traditional method of what would you do if, which is, of course, when people give us the right answer instead of the answer that's really what they would do.
Now, why do you think people resist doing the interviews this way?
I think people get comfortable in the way they've known how to do things in the past. I think people can be resistant to change, but it's such a powerful way of interviewing with such better results. I think that if we take the time to train our hiring managers in the benefits of doing behavioral interviewing, of the increased and the improved outcomes of doing behavioral interviewing, and that over time they really do see an increase in the quality of their hires, that they'll get on board very quickly for doing behavioral interviews.
That's what I was going to say. I'm sold. I believe you, okay? But I'm an HR professional, and I want all of my hiring managers to use the processes that you're describing. What if they resist? What's your advice to help get them on track?
Well, I think part of it is leadership of the organization really needs to get on board and say, yes, we recognize this as a best practice, and we want to implement best practices within our organization. I think that training hiring managers on the process and the outcomes so that they can see really that it's a very simple process, a simple procedure to do behavioral interviewing, they'll be less resistant to the newness of it. And I think, again, over time they'll see that the new hires that they get are of a higher quality than they would have had with the traditional interviewing methods they've been using.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Nancy, for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you for having me here.
And stay with us for more great interviews brought to you by Monster and Smart Brief.